Hi guys, welcome to the podcast. On this episode, we have Barney Tierney, a senior MSK physio who's doing work with the FA about his almost pain-free stress fracture through the tibia. We go through the diagnosis, how the pain developed or how his injury developed, and how he's currently doing. I found it really interesting, both from a clinician's perspective and how most of the injury developed with a pain-free basis symptom. So hopefully you can take away on how he's been able to manage, what to look out for, and how you can help your own rehab. All the best.
Welcome to the PTR Physiotherapy Rehab Podcast. My name is Warwick Schmidt, and in this podcast, we interview subject matter experts, authors, and elite athletes to help inform clinicians and patients and generate discussions around sports, rehab, health, and how to get people back to their best. We hope you can take away some content and use it in your practice.
But I just wanted to get you on because I think with your background and experience as well, just to get insight, but also being a patient and a physio, and then having the injury you had, which I think is quite interesting, which is why you don't really hear it very often. So well, I'll start probably how you got into physio. I think what was that always something you always wanted to do? Is that something you knew you wanted to do from day one, or?
No, I don't think so. I think from day one I knew I wanted to be in sport. As a kid, just obviously was obsessed with football growing up, and then had everyone around me tell me all the time, "You need to work for sport. You got to do some more sport." So I did the thing that most people do. I think when they get to the end of their A levels and they don't really know what to do, but so they just go and study sports science. And then when studying sports science, one of the modules was in sports medicine. And then that's when like the passion for physio really kicked in, and it was talking through rehab and rehab of sport and all that. And my cousin was actually a physio in the NHS, so I went and spent a week with her. She was in a community neuro role. So just to learn a bit more about what physio is, what's the main role of it. And it didn't put me off too much, even though I saw some horrific things, being on the ward straight away with her. And then I went and worked as a physio assistant in the NHS. After my sports science degree, just to really establish, is that really what I want to go and do? Because obviously there's lots of different roles for physios, and when you're training to be a physio, you have to go and explore it all. And you have to take, everyone's got different opinions of what role of physio they like, and you have to take the good stuff with the bad stuff in order to get the experience and, go and be a top physio. I think that's crucial. So I went and then studied physio, did the master's pre-reg in London Brunel, and then worked in the NHS for I think about 5 years.
You're doing the rotations and everything.
Rotations, but I was kind of like, with my rotations, when I came across a rotation I didn't want to do, I just went and got a job in a place where I wanted to work. So instead of doing the respiratory on-calls, I was like, okay, I'm gonna go find something else to do now. So I kind of chose my own rotations in a way.
Nice. I think you've got to be tactical. I think it's kind of easy to fall into things. I know I had a couple of educators who ended up doing, which is absolutely nothing wrong. We all need them, but inpatient elderly care. But they'd started out as pure MSK, and they're like, I'm going to go and be pro sports. So I think you just got to be open to it. But if you know what you want to do, it makes life a lot easier, doesn't it? So
it does, I think you might know what you want to do, but more importantly, know what you don't want to do.
So you don't get the Sunday blues, when the Sunday evening comes around and you're like, oh, I'm dreading that thing. So no. And then how did you end up with the MOD stuff? Was that something you knew already before you did it, or like aware of it for a while, or?
So I was aware of it from when I was at uni, because we had the military come in and visit us. We had a few PTIs and ERIs come in, and I was like, that job just sounds so cool. I think they came in from what was the old centre? Not
Headley Court.
Headley Court, yeah. So Brunel wasn't far from Headley Court, and they had a few links with lecturers that were working there. So they brought those guys in, And I was just like, yeah, that sounds insane. And
Let's do
then,
a bit more of that. Yeah.
yeah, definitely. I think I would always had my eye on it. And first, I wanted to go in. I actually went to go in through the reserves to begin with, through the
Oh, brilliant.
army.
Yeah, yeah.
So I went into that and started doing the officer training.
Oh, wow.
Um,
Okay.
yeah, but I realized then after a few weekends of doing officer training, it wasn't really what I was hoping for in terms of. I think it was more maybe the people. There wasn't many other physios training with me, and it was
No.
in London. As a bunch of doctors. Be careful what I
Yeah.
say here, but they didn't
No.
really accept me. I think I
Okay.
didn't feel welcomed into that environment. So maybe it
Yeah,
was a
yeah.
bit bad luck as well from just time, right time and place sort of thing.
Mm.
But also with that, there was so much more that came with being in the army as an officer, which I wasn't really aware of. You know, I was going in thinking, oh, this is going to be fun. It's going to be all phys. It's going to be adventure, and I'll do a bit of
Yeah.
physio.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But yeah, there's way more to it than that. So
I had a 3 month block, I think 2, 3 years ago, where I was, you look at the pay and as you said, the lifestyle, and you get lots of benefits and stuff, and the pension and all that. And then for 3 months, I was almost considering, because I think the limit is 33 years and 11 months or something. So that's the
mm,
latest you can join. And then you realize, I think you come out as a captain or something, you're
yeah,
pinged everywhere. 18 months. You could be in
yeah.
Scotland, you could be in Jib, you could be in court. Like, it's just, and then, yeah, I think, yeah, if I was younger, if I was 10 years younger or
This is
something,
it,
or
isn't it?
single, it's just, yeah,
Yeah,
that
I think
lifestyle's different.
you've got to be fresh out of uni, really, haven't you?
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
you are
Yeah.
settled somewhere or you have a family already, and you're going off and yeah, you're being pinged out to Gibraltar or wherever it is for 2 years or Cyprus, and
Yeah.
yeah, it might be amazing, but
Mm.
you're away from your family, and that's a big sacrifice then,
It's
isn't it?
you got to have that mindset. Um,
Yeah.
and your hobbies. So you're always in endurance. You said you love football, don't you? But you've always done
Yeah,
some
so
endurance on the side.
always, because what I realized from quite early on was I wasn't the best footballer, but I wanted to be the best. So I was like, how can I be the best? I need to be fitter than everyone else.
Yeah, yeah,
So
that's fair.
I thought if I played in midfield, so if I can outrun everyone,
Yep.
then that even if they can be the most skillful player on the pitch, but if I can man mark someone out of the game, then I can nullify
Yeah, yeah,
that.
yeah.
That was kind of like
Absolutely.
my tactical mind when I was a young boy.
Mm.
Um, so I just made sure I ran and I ran and I ran as a kid.
Yeah.
And I kind of got to the point where I started work in London, and then you obviously realise, right, you can't do as much sport and fitness anymore when
Mm.
you're starting in full-time jobs, especially in busy careers as a physio in the hospital. So I
Yeah, yeah,
always
yeah.
made sure I cycled, kept that up, and but I just said, right, I'm just going to sign up to a marathon. This would have been 2018. Long
Okay.
distance. I'd never ever done a half. I'd probably maximum run I've ever done would have been around 10K to sort of 15K, I would say.
Yeah, yeah,
I was like,
yeah.
I'm starting to get less active now, so I'm just gonna sign up to a marathon and
Just go
see
for
where
it.
that takes me.
Cool.
Yeah, so I started running and running in 2018, started doing marathons. 2019 did a couple more marathons. 2020 decided to do a challenge with my mates where we ran from Birmingham to Aberystwyth, is where I first went to university.
Nice.
And that's a 120-mile distance, which we
As you
decided
do.
to do over yeah, um, 6 days, so 20 miles a day. It was split up into.
I thought you were going to say
Um,
2, 3 days. I thought, okay,
nah,
that's a step up. That's wild. Yeah,
trust if the guys ever heard this podcast,
yeah.
I was trying to do it in probably 4 days, um, but to get the guys who I wanted to do it with in, I
Yeah.
had to make some
You
sacrifices.
had to extend it. You're like,
Um,
right, we'll put at
yeah.
least a one pub stop in at least. Yeah,
Oh yeah.
something like that. Yeah.
One of
Nice.
those nights actually, they all went got a bit carried away. I think we were 3 nights in, and they all got a bit
Mm.
carried away on the pints, and I was sitting there shaking my head, thinking, guys, got got
This is
three more
going to hurt
days to go
tomorrow.
here. Yeah,
Yeah,
let's
you're going to
calm.
regret that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
So yeah,
nice.
I've always then my interest in like long distance running, yeah, peaked, and then trail running, and I
Yeah.
did a couple more marathons after that as well. So yeah, up until like 2021, 22, I was doing a lot of endurance running,
Nice.
and
Yeah.
felt good with it too.
I think, yeah, you do get that phase. I did that in 2018 and tried to run and overtrained a bit, pulled a calf here and there. And then, but once you get past those first few months, if you're not a runner, then you become fit. It's a great
Mm,
feeling when you can just go out for an hour and just not even worry about it. You
yeah,
feel fit with it, feel
yeah.
good. Um, and so you weren't injured until us, we started work. Well, were you injured before you started working with us down the road, or was that while you were working?
It was around the same time when I started to notice symptoms.
Mm.
So I started down in Portsmouth in the Navy base there on July. I've got a timeline in front of me, so I can remember
Oh,
it all.
brilliant. Yeah,
It
yeah.
was July 2024 when I started there. Um, I remember going out for a run in June, and I remember it was like maybe just my first 10 strides of a run I just had. And it didn't feel bony. It felt sort of muscular over it. It felt
Mm.
like maybe a tib ant strain. My first
Yeah,
10 strides, I was like, oh, that's a bit sharp. And then completely faded away. And that would have been like I don't know, a 10K run or something.
yeah.
And then every run since then, the first few strides was like, oh, yeah, something's not quite right there. But it would quickly go away. I was like, ah, it's nothing. I'll be fine.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that was the first symptoms, really. That's how it started. I
That,
think that carried on for maybe 6 months, just like
really.
that.
So the opposite of what
Yeah,
you'd expect. So this is
exactly. Yeah,
where the anomaly starts to you start to realize the presentation is very different. So you quite rightly, like most runners, if you do run a lot, there's always something sore, isn't there? So you're just gonna stretch afterwards and warm up a bit and then keep working. So that 6 months was kind of first 10
yeah,
strides, easy, and then just carried on. And then was there a
yeah.
point where it ramped up and you thought this is not quite right?
Um, so yeah, so you might say stupidly towards the end of the year, I set myself a challenge of doing the 12 runs of Christmas, and so I was working with Jeff Foster at the time, obviously
Mm,
in the SEM in the Mayak clinic in the military.
yeah.
I told him about this little challenge. I thought, yeah, so run day one would be 1 mile, day two, 2 miles, so on, 12 runs of
Wow.
Christmas all the way up until, and Jeff was aware I had these mild symptoms. He knew I was a
Yeah.
runner. He was like, Barney, this is only going one way, mate. Stop while
Oh,
you're
he
ahead. I
called
was
it.
like, no,
He knows. He knows.
he kind of called it, yeah. I think we
Yeah.
both kind of called it. We both knew there was potentially
It's just
something
something.
going on there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No. And
Yeah.
so did you, how
Um,
many days of Christmas did you get in
ah,
before
I
end it?
think I did 10.
Oh, that's
Um,
not bad. I
and
thought you were going to stop
that
it. Yeah.
yeah that ended more so because I had a Christmas night out than anything else as well.
Oh, that's fine. That's reasonable.
Um,
That's yeah.
and yeah, but so to
No,
more
that's cool.
context to that is my goal for that year was actually I'm sounding a bit crazy here, aren't I? I've got pain, but my goal
Not
for
at
that
all.
year was to hit
Yeah.
1,000 miles for the year, which I'd
Okay.
done before.
Mm.
I'd done over that before,
Yeah.
but I hadn't been doing any marathons or events. So I was just like, right, I just want to hit 1,000 miles this year.
Yeah.
When
Get
if you
miles in.
roughly break it down, it's about 20 miles in a week, um, each
Yeah.
week.
If you trained up for it, it's not too crazy, is it?
Yeah, so I'd
Yeah.
done it before. I was like, it's achievable. Um,
Mm.
but I think what also happened along this was my weight was increasing too. So I'd go from
Okay.
maybe what my endurance distance runner weight was, maybe 82 kg, and I
Yeah. Yeah.
was up nothing too dramatic, but I was 87, 88, pushing
Okay.
maybe
Yeah.
hitting 90. So it's significant enough, isn't it, for long
That's
distance
that's
running?
that's quite a big jump up. Yeah. Was that intentional? Then you were trying to you going to the gym
No,
and oh, okay.
no,
No, was that Christmas weight then?
no,
No, that was just
no.
no.
It's just gradual, slowly over
Yeah.
time. I think I've always been in the gym, and I don't know if they're like age related, getting like
Mm.
past the 30 stage, but um, yeah, I think it's a good point to talk about within this podcast of bone stress in particular,
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
because yeah, I was not aiming to increase my weight at all. It
No.
was
Well,
just
that
something that gradually happened.
so because again, like minimal symptoms reducing in the first few steps rather than increasing throughout the run, and then putting weight on rather than
Yeah.
suddenly dropping. So you're kind of, I guess that would load the bone a hell of a lot more, but then the lack of musculoskeletal strength and capacity for load then goes up if you assume with strength and weight, but then that loads the bone more. So
Yeah.
was that something that peaked with the pain? So you were kind of at your heaviest, and then you had the most pain, or did you find that dropped off a bit?
I think it's just all progressive. So as the weight progressed over time, the more symptoms I did get as well.
Mm.
But I didn't, yeah, I don't know. I didn't really think about it too much at the time.
No,
Um,
I guess on reflection, was that did you, like, were you the change in diet then? Was it eating a bit more,
no,
or
I
no?
think maybe eating more crap, maybe. Just
Yeah, yeah.
maybe more, more takeaways, or I can't really pinpoint it, to be honest. I do have a sweet tooth, so
Okay,
um,
yeah. It could. Were
I
you doing that
I
many
just maybe was
miles?
eating slightly more. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
you
I
are
needed
just
the
like
calories.
hoovering. You're just hoovering, don't you?
Yeah,
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 I did a 100K like a couple of years ago, and I just remember training on the build up. It was just walking past the Greg's, and it would be, oh, sorry,
yeah.
of just on the way to work quite often.
Eat whatever
But
you
then you
want.
just
Yeah,
you almost just need, the body's gone. I'm gonna get what I need. But
yeah.
I guess the type of fuel you take on then is what separates kind of, I guess, pros with,
That's it. That's it. We
isn't
should
it?
have got a nutritionist on this as well to talk about all
Okay,
that too.
well, I have actually got a friend that Ben. He's been on before. He knows his stuff. I think I might have to have us again and just do like a nutritional element on what his take is, because he's
Yeah,
had a look at that boning loading stuff I sent him, and so he says looks quite interesting. So we maybe have to do that again and just see what a nutritionist point of view looks like, and try and
yeah,
find a way of explaining it. But so this is so talk us through the sort of the diagnostic component, because the bony stress generally,
mm,
especially through the evidence, is the true stress fractures are universally painful, right? Like that's kind of the clinical
mm,
indication. You come in with pain, we know there's something wrong, and then that pain pattern is what we go, okay, because it's getting worse throughout the
yeah,
session, it's worse afterwards. But yours was probably more tendinopathic, wasn't it? You was doing, okay, this is cool,
yeah,
tendinopathy. Um, and I think there's some evidence, that asymptomatic fractures are detected on imaging that indicate early remodeling, but not big enough to trigger nociceptors. So it's one of those
mhm,
ones where you know that some people have those Frederickson's 1 to 4, so you've got the 1 and then all the way up to 4. That spectrum can happen, I think, with people who might be pain free. But obviously, in your case, it was generally people are very sore with those. But you skipped around
yeah,
the feedback there somehow. So
yeah,
talk us through how that diagnosis happened, and you obviously got to the point where you thought, oh, this needs
yeah.
checking, or yeah,
So so what happened then is going into 2026, I was training for half Ironman. So I'd never done an Ironman before, but also that I thought I've got this. I kind of had it there in that Christmas period where I was doing those 12 runs of Christmas. Okay, need
yeah,
to lay off.
yeah, mm,
Took about a month and a half off. I thought, what could I do was actually won't be as much running, but still keep the
yeah,
training up. Right, let's do a triathlon. So I'll do more cycling, I'll do more swimming.
yeah,
Um, Obviously, training as a whole goes up. Um, but so yeah, I started training for that. Working in the Mayak clinic, we have the access to a bit of an ultrasound as well. So
mm,
when I started to complain a little bit more about my shin, um, this would have been around now July 2025. Um, Jeff just like quickly whipped the ultrasound over it,
yeah,
just see what's going on there with the you know bony
mm,
irregularity. Also put the Doppler on it, see what the blood flow is doing.
yeah,
And we put it on the ultrasound, and it just lit up Doppler around the
wow,
affected area. And we were like,
yeah,
okay, something's
nice,
going on. This was then 3 weeks before the Ironman. Um,
right.
so doctor's advice was don't do anything for the next 3 weeks, get it done, and then come and see me after. Um,
Okay, so the Ironman, and then
yeah,
come back. We said rest it.
I mean, this is more of a informal, friendly doctor's advice of
Yeah.
he's
Not
known
not
of
medical advice.
trained.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. He's known
Yeah.
of
Just
trained for it. I've signed up for a charity to do it, raised a bit of money, get it done, and then we'll figure out what's going on after.
cool.
So after that, I actually had a month's rest after that, and then I was asked to play in a like football sevens tournament.
I think I remember you
Um,
saying
yeah,
talking
this
about
this
this.
was
Yeah.
this was the point where I was like, okay, this is probably serious now.
Yeah.
Played through the tournament, but towards the end of it, I was like, now I'm walking and I can feel pain, and that hasn't happened before.
That's a step up,
Um,
isn't it? Yeah.
yeah. So then
Yeah.
I went to what you call it, urgent care facility, to get an X-ray,
Mm.
um, and they actually just sent me away, um,
Okay.
which was kind of bad. You know, I was saying I'm a physio. I work in the military. I work with bone stress injuries. I've got all the symptoms here of a fracture through my
Yeah.
tibia.
There's some stuff going on
The
here.
nurse,
Yeah.
yeah, the nurse there took one look at me and said, "You've got shin splints. Don't worry, they'll fade away." I was like, "Ah, come on, I've got a year history here. I know what's going
Mm.
on."
Yeah. That's
And he was like, "No, come back again if it gets worse." I was like, "Okay." Just didn't want to cause an argument. Didn't want to
no.
cause
Well,
a
you
scene.
know what? Yeah. So I guess fight your battles. So,
Um, yeah. So then, right, lucky enough, I know a doctor. He got me in. He X-rayed me at his clinic. Straight away, dreaded black line across the
wow.
anterior shin.
Visible on
So
X-ray. Yeah.
yeah. So we talk about the Friedrichsen bone stress scale.
Yeah.
I've gone past it all, and
This is yeah.
it's a
Definitely
fraction
seeing it
straight away.
visible on X-ray is a step up, and then that means it's been at least 2-3 weeks since the break anyway, isn't it? So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so I think actually we go back to when those first symptoms happened. You know, if it was scanned at that point, MRI or X-ray, that might have been, the grade one, a
Yeah.
bit of
Yeah.
stuff
Yeah.
going on.
Mm.
Settle down, give it a few weeks, deload, everything will be fine.
Mm.
But I chose to ignore those symptoms
Yeah.
and ended up with a full fracture through the
Full
shin.
fracture. Decent. So they did a good job.
Um, yeah, so that X-ray was then in August 2025.
Okay. Yeah.
I was then referred into the fracture clinic in Portsmouth at the QA hospital.
Yeah.
They they um, they put me in a boot, obviously straight away, boot and crutches,
Hmm.
and then that was 10 weeks of that. They re-X-rayed me at the end, and
Yeah.
nothing had changed. It's still there. Um, I've obviously got no
Oh,
symptoms at this point too.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
I
and
didn't know that the
then
X-ray,
what?
the X. I did. Sorry, I didn't know that check X-ray was also exact the same. I didn't.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly the
Yeah. Well.
same. So
Okay.
there's two pictures I sent you. The X-ray.
Yes. Edit them in now.
That's one. So one on the left is 10 weeks before, and the other one's 10 weeks after. And you can
Yeah.
see the
You can't.
black line still there.
Yeah. 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 Barely any change. How did they
Yeah.
manage the next steps then?
So there, at that point, the orthopedic doctor, she was kind of trying to convince me that there was some healing. If you look at those pictures, and I've showed them to sports doctor since then, there is no
Yeah.
difference at all.
No.
So from there, what I did is, so I then moved to Birmingham at the time and got myself referred into the sport and exercise medicine clinic at the Queen Elizabeth Hospital in
Mm.
Birmingham. Um,
Yeah.
and they reviewed my case, reviewed where I was, reviewed what happened before, sent me for a CT scan. Took me to CT scan didn't happen until January, end of January
Mm.
2026 now. So that obviously showed that there was still a fracture there, even though I'd been managing it. So I'd done the boot,
You've
then
done
I'd
all
been
the right
managing
stuff.
it. I'd been doing no impact. I've started doing the rehab that we discussed before, which we'll probably go into more detail with
Mm.
the bone loading protocol that you produced.
Hmm.
Use that. So I was following that along. Obviously, mine was a higher stress fracture than just a stress response. So
Absolutely.
still being very careful with what I did there and not overdoing it.
Mm.
I was on holiday in Australia then over December. So
Yep.
yeah, I'd done a few long walks, played beach volleyball. You know, I had no symptoms at all. I thought, right, this is good now.
Yeah.
Anyway, CT from the January was, yeah, you've still got a fracture.
Wow.
So where I'm at with it now is I'm going through rehab, but um, I've been now referred to an orthopedic opinion, which is
Okay.
in a couple of weeks' time.
Wow. Okay. And have they given you a heads up? I mean, I guess with what from Fiz's point of view, we're looking at nail, or we're looking at plating, or is that like
So I
on the
don't,
cards?
I hopefully not.
No, no. I
Hopefully,
mean, that's the thing. Hopefully, you want to like on that spectrum of what could and hopefully doesn't happen.
so
Yeah.
from my point of view, it's just a discussion I'm hoping for with,
Good.
I want their opinion on what they think is best going
Yeah.
forwards.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because my function's okay. I can do a 5K run now.
Oh, good.
Um, I know if I did a 5K run back to back, I would get symptoms,
Okay.
mainly tenderness over the
Yeah.
area. But other than that, nothing. And
Pretty
again,
good.
it's still mild. Yeah, it's mild. It's like maximum is 2 out of 10 pain, and
Oh,
that's
that's good.
from palpation. Walking is fine. Um,
Mm. Mm.
so I've been careful with it. Like I won't do now. If I do a 5K, I won't run again for 3 days, and then I'll
Yeah, that's
repeat.
fair.
And like I'm plodding along. I'm not doing anything
Yeah.
quick.
Yeah. You're doing it
Um,
for the kind of the stimulus, kind of the I guess a bit of
yeah,
mental release as well. Sort of psychologically, you're getting
yeah,
a pretty
yeah.
big tick
I
for
think
that bit. Yeah.
yeah, I think mentally actually this type of injury is massive because it's almost like an invisible injury because people don't
Mm.
see it,
Mm.
and you don't really feel it either. But you know that you've got a bit of broken bone in your leg and it's not healing. And
Yeah.
when you go from running and doing the thing you love and playing football and all that stuff to actually, you have to hold yourself back because people don't actually think there's anything wrong with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
mentally, it has a massive impact, and you can learn to appreciate that more now when you have patients that come in and who have done something you've asked them not to do, around the
Yeah.
management of
Yeah.
this type of pain, which is
Yeah.
happening constantly. But yeah, I've learned to appreciate that side of it a bit more, going through it myself now as well.
Has kind of fed, even though it's not the lining you want, maybe the silver lining of the kind of empathetic side of clinical care. You can kind of
Yeah,
relate that a lot better to them. I guess the impact for you would be quite a bit more given how much you got stuck into all of the endurance stuff.
yeah.
Really, if you were just an
The
average
drop
Joe
off.
who only did 5K and you did football once a week, that's different to somebody who wants to run 1,000 miles a year.
Yeah,
Um, and that catharsis of release, I think that people don't, like, yeah, runners get it. I don't think, do you get it? I assume, I'm not a big cyclist. I think personally 50K sounds like a very long way on a bike, but I know it's not. But I know runners are particularly sensitive to that runner's high, the kind of the
yeah,
chemical release, isn't it? And that is probably, as you said, something that's runners really have a difficulty with, which is why we see so many ultra runners like just sneaking out and trying to get a bit more.
absolutely.
Um,
Yeah,
but to be fair, I didn't realize that this was still ongoing. I thought that once you'd had the
yeah.
X-ray and you had your 3 months of crutches or whatever it has been, I thought that now you'd be mostly on the way. But
Yeah.
so no, has anybody
No.
given you yet an explanation about why it's still actively fractured, or have you done any reading yourself
So
into
it's
what might cause?
yeah, it's around the location of it, um, and the blood supply. So it's anterior cortex tibia.
Mm,
Um, so yeah, it's just a known high risk area, and then it's the lack of blood supply to that area, where they're at high risk of not healing, and that's why a lot of them, or yeah, a high percentage of them, then go down the surgery route to
wow.
try and fix it. But then also there's a high percentage even after surgery, that will fail to heal as well. So
Okay.
for me, the level I'm at, I don't think a surgeon would look at me and ever dream of doing a surgery that has a high chance of not working anyway. You know,
Mm, absolutely.
you put a nail down my shin, and I'm then rehabbing that for the next 6 months with a chance of
Yeah.
no improvement anyway.
Mm.
So if I can do a couple of 5Ks a week and I've got no pain, then yeah, fine. I know I've got no ambition to run a marathon again. To be honest, I'd be happy doing that for the rest of my life if I can.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
so yeah, it's just tricky. I personally, I
It's,
think
yeah.
now if I had another CT scan today, can't say for sure, but I feel like there must be some sort of healing going on there, very slow healing, because I just barely have any symptoms now at all.
No.
Um,
And you've looked after it as well. I
but
mean,
yeah,
you haven't done anything because you do have to load the bone, don't you? You've got to try and put some
yeah,
stimulus in there
yeah,
to remodel it. But I guess my imaging, I mean, still kind of from uni and experience, you kind of learn how to read some imaging, but I'm guess they're going to start, you can be able to track that there's knitting and that gap gets smaller. There must be a way that they can, when you get the review in a few weeks, hopefully
yeah,
he'll get another one and then
yeah.
review that. So,
Yeah, that's the hope. Yeah, I mean, they can
I
see
hope so.
if the fracture line is consolidating and if the callus formation is becoming less, then yeah, that's it's only a good sign, and hopefully that continues. But yeah, it's a horrible injury, but I've also put myself
Yeah.
in this situation at the end of the day as well. Um,
But I think
but you can see
this
why
is
it's
what,
frustrating for patients, definitely.
yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, this is it. Yeah, I mean, given how much we know about these injuries, you would have probably been quite good at dropping off if it was that night pain and throbbing and you could barely put steps through it, Otto positive and all
Mm,
that. That's just what you'd go, but your heart rate goes up and you think this is something wrong. But it's so you did it. You say that, but I don't know whether you did it really, given how fit you were going into it. You weren't doing it from no running off
mm,
for 10 years and then doing 1,000 miles a year. Um, so I
yeah,
guess it is tricky. It's probably hard. I mean, I guess it's the hardest part for you is not to just kind of, yeah, difficult ruminate on it and kind of give yourself a hard time.
yeah,
But it's the new normal for yourself. Has that been the hardest part? I guess just drawing a line under the
yeah.
sand and going this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess since since I got that boot off and realized that the second X-ray was exactly the same, it's kind of like, right, really got to be strict on myself here.
Yeah.
I think the other thing to talk about was when I went to the SCM consultant, they did all the blood tests on me as well. So that
Yes.
came back all normal. So there's no, you know,
Wow.
no hormonal factor, or like my bit D wasn't low,
Mm,
or my
mm.
calcium wasn't low. All of the
Everything
blood
checked out.
markers were normal. Yeah. Um, so
Jeez.
that was
So we.
interesting too. And um, the other topic I kind of brought up into discussion was energy deficiency, red S, and
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
spoke
Yeah.
spoke a lot to different clinicians on that as well. And um, but the thing to me there was my surely I didn't have any energy deficiency through my training there, because I was putting weight on. I wasn't losing weight.
That's yeah. That's where it's confusing, isn't it? Because that
Yeah,
classic weight loss slash lack of energy,
yeah,
and then you're overloading the system through that. Yeah, you would expect it the other way.
yeah,
Maybe there's again like uh, they've got Ben Steele Turner, he's a really really sharp guy, a nutritionist, and he's a knee specialist. But I think he spoke at uni and he loves the subject. So he was talking about people who do fast food. This is not you, by the way, but just generally that the fast food stuff feeds you. I think along the lines of where because they're so nutrient deficient, your stomach,
mm,
your physical signs of your body going, "Ah, cool, I'm full," doesn't change the fact that when your body doesn't get all the nutrients, that means it also then signifies it's now hungry. So you're now hungry because you just don't tick all those boxes, and therefore maybe again for in that environment, I don't know the calories are coming in and the nutrients, but then you were on top of it. So that's
I was meal
occasional
prepping.
sweet
Like,
thing. Yeah,
yeah, I
yeah,
was, I was meal. No, I'd treat myself on a weekend after I'd done a long cycle. I would
yeah.
get a takeaway and have a bit of cake. But I was
Mm,
I was meal prepping. I was gaining.
yeah.
I was doing my strength work. trying to tick all the boxes possible, but yeah, who
Yeah,
knows?
difficult,
So
man.
the other side of it too, I've had a podiatry assessment as well since then,
Okay.
and he thinks the podiatrist I saw, he thinks structurally, I have so much tibia rotation, um,
Mm.
internal tibia rotation during a
Yeah.
gait and when I run. So when I land, my tibia is rotating internally when I heel strike,
Mm.
um, and then I go into a load of what's it called, pronation.
Gotcha.
Um, he thinks structurally that then had a big impact on it,
Yeah. It
which
could make
like
sense,
biomechanically, yeah, there's another theory.
isn't it? Another kind of piece of the pie, almost, isn't it? You just
Yeah,
um,
it's just clutching at straws, isn't it? It's just looking at
no. Well, you've got
all
to look
different
after,
angles.
go after those things and rectify them. But I guess I, flat foot. Would you say flat-footed? I mean, I would. We
I
haven't
don't
physically
think
looked at it.
completely flat-footed, but
Mm.
yeah, I think
Mm.
there's a degree. Well, my girlfriend thinks I'm flat-footed, but I would say there's a degree of um, pronation there, but I wouldn't say
Mm.
completely no. But anyway, I've got some insoles coming soon, so
Very
let's see what
nice.
they
Very
do.
nice. The Gucci
Yeah,
Gucci ones. Um, the,
what they call the Firefly
that's it.
insoles.
Yeah,
They're the
those ones
ones,
that
aren't they? Yeah,
they're pretty good. They look fancy.
yeah,
Although a few of the phase twos don't collect them when they leave, so they've got a few that they need to still collect.
yeah,
But yeah, those do. I think those do a pretty good job. I guess biomechanically you will load, and then I guess in the middle of the bone, you're then loading the anterior portion,
mm,
bowing repeatedly. Again, this is a rabbit hole, isn't it? You could probably talk for hours about how then what type of footwear
yeah,
did you change that, your gait cycle, cadence, um, leg length discrepancy. You could look into that. I don't know
hmm,
why it's one sided and not the other. Um, Ankle stiffness, previous injury. There's all those
yeah, yeah,
biomechanical rather than medical components. But
yeah,
yeah, hopefully that goes well. I'm glad it's good that you're doing the 5Ks. I think that's at least definitely literally a step in the right direction.
yeah.
Do you have any pain when you palpate it?
Now, no,
So you could,
I've got the lump there. You can feel the callus formation over it.
yeah,
But no, there's no pain there at all.
no pain.
It's a tender area anyway, isn't it? So
Yeah,
it feels exactly the same left to right now.
nice, nice. Yeah, no, that's interesting. I didn't realize. To be fair, I know that we talked about it at work and the various. It kind of dropped in and dropped out of it, but didn't realize that it was still ongoing. So yeah, so that
Yeah.
does suck a bit,
But I
doesn't it?
think the
But
reason why we talked about it at work so much is because in the military, that's what you see so much of, isn't it?
yeah,
There's
yeah, you do see a
so
lot of
many
that
stress
injury.
fractures in the military. Yeah.
Relentless,
Um,
yeah, and that big step up in their training and booted walks and um, kecks as well. Like that. I don't know whether there was any of that component was your symptoms wise. It was just bone for you. It was any tibial
just
component.
bone, yeah.
Just bone. Yeah. No, that kecks is a
Yeah.
bit of a difficult one when that sets in, isn't it? So your return to running. How did that? What did that look like? What were you doing? So for patients listening, what did you um,
So,
out
well,
of the
I
cast, out of the boot?
out of
Sorry.
the cast, yeah, out of the boot. So first of all, was just increase my step count.
Mm,
So obviously, my step count was down at like with crutches. This is probably about 2 to 3,000 a day.
okay.
Um, just on a side point during
Mm,
this as well is what I've also developed in my right knee now is a chronic patellar tendinopathy, which I think is actually probably at the point now of a calcific tendinopathy. Um,
okay.
and I also believe that started because of my gait when I was in my crutch and
Yep.
with my crutches and my boot because of the amount of increased load that was going through that knee,
Yeah.
particularly when
Yeah.
trying to get upstairs with crutches and a boot. Um, and I'll talk about that in a bit later because that then impacted my return to run protocol.
Sure.
So first
Sure.
of all, get the step count up. So I think I spent Probably spend 4 weeks of just increasing step count
Mm.
by 2,000 each week. So I was around 2,300. Right, get out of the boot. Let's start walking again. Hit the 5,000, 7,000. Get it up into the teens.
Nice.
Whilst doing some loading, strength training,
Mm-hmm.
all double leg work. So a lot of work under the barbell squatting,
Nice.
deadlifting, um, on the leg press, all double leg, just hitting numbers.
Mm.
And I had actually
Yeah.
surprised that I hadn't lost much strength after being in the boot for 10 weeks. It was good. Like my DOMs obviously was horrific, but the actual numbers I was producing was similar to what it was before.
Brilliant.
Um, which maybe means I wasn't strong enough before, but that's a different story.
Yeah.
So getting that double leg strength up, um,
Sweet.
and then what I found really useful after getting that step count and good strength numbers up was actually the use of the trampet for
Nice.
some double leg hops, double leg pogos,
Mm.
um, and it felt really good as well. So reduced weight bearing, but increasing my load, starting to do a bit of plyometric work.
Yeah. Nice.
So I transitioned from double leg pogos on the trampet. I was doing it every day. Um, so similar stuff to the protocol you sent across that we discussed. I was doing, it was like 60 bounces on the trampet, double leg. I was doing
Mm.
that twice a day, I think for about 2 to 3 weeks. And then I transitioned that into a single leg on the trampet every
Sweet.
day. Leaving that 8 hour gap in between, which
Yeah.
is
Nice.
optimizing bone remodeling if there is any changes going on there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so then I ditched the trampet, started doing pogos, um, just normal pogos on the ground, and then
Yeah.
transitioned
Nice.
that into single leg pogos too, all the time building up my then single leg strength as well. Um, what I then started to find was on the single leg pogos, um, or just single leg hops, that right knee patella was flaring
Uh.
pretty
Uh.
quickly,
Yeah.
um, and making life pretty miserable on that
That's
right
so
side.
frustrating. Yeah.
So frustrating. Um, I just brought everything back to double leg. Double leg was fine.
Cool.
Um, and then so I started to get to the point where I would attempt to do a bit of an interval walk to run program, and that would just be 1 minute on, 1 minute off, starting on a treadmill, really low
Mm-hmm.
pace, and it felt good. It felt absolutely fine. And if we're talking about where I am on the timeline of this is sort
Yeah.
of December 2025, whilst I'm waiting to have a CT scan and doing my own bit of rehab.
Got you. Yeah.
Um, so I was thinking, this is actually good. I've been away. I've done long walks in Australia now. I've done a bit of beach volleyball. I've done a bit of beach running as well. Um,
Nice.
no
And
symptoms
you following.
whatsoever.
That's it. You following the textbook, like symptom free, enough
Yeah,
rest, small,
yeah,
graduated. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. And I created
That
my
sounds
own
good.
plan around it to slowly increase the interval running. So from 1 minute to 1 minute 30 to 2 minutes, always having a minute break of walking. Um, yeah, and everything felt great. If anything, it was the knee that was holding me back.
Sod's law,
Um,
mate.
so yeah, following that program was good.
Excellent.
I was doing regular plyometrics, albeit double leg, just to offload that right knee.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, my strength markers were back where they needed to be, and yeah, everything was fine. And then that CT scan revealed the fracture still there, and I was like, oh right, what do I do
Oh,
here? And
chances.
actually, medical advice at that point was actually just carry on what you're doing, because you don't have, this is where it gets tricky with the management of
Isn't
these,
it?
isn't it? Because
Yeah. Yeah.
you are managing, you see a report where there's a fracture, but you're managing someone's symptoms, um, and if they haven't, what normally you would say, if there's a back and there's someone's got a horrendous disc bulge but they've got no
Yeah.
symptoms, is you manage the patient, you don't manage the report.
Yeah.
But in this case, it's like
Absolutely.
actually that flips around. You're managing the report because there's a ongoing fracture that's not
You,
healing.
yeah.
But
Yeah. Yeah.
symptom wise, someone's able to actually go through return to run program, is looking really strong, has no
Mm.
symptoms, but there's still something shown on this report which
It,
we can't ignore.
It makes it
So it's
hard,
really
like
tricky then, isn't it?
mentally hard, and fits, with workload hard as well, because as you said, the fundamental symptom of all these stress fractures and Bernie responses is pain, isn't it? And if you've got no pain, then that flicks it. So it almost takes really the control out of us as physios, isn't it? Because we normally have enough experience to go, look,
Yeah.
there's something on imaging, doesn't correlate to function, let's move on. But yours is the other way, where actually the kind of the clinical, the imaging is probably at the head of your management, really, to some degree, because you were symptom free most of the time. I mean, the other case, there are not many case reports or case studies on these symptom free bony injuries, but I think there was one in 2006, of a phase 2 or a trainee, and they had symptom free changes in their diaphyseal plate, and they had a pain free bone response all the way through until it broke, uh, clean break in the
Right.
middle of a run, and then he was obviously
Yeah.
symptom free. But you can't explain that
No.
anomaly, really, when 99.9% of patients are in
Yeah.
agony, you know.
Yeah.
So that
And I think
is,
that's why the management of these are so strict now, because they know that there's a risk of a clean break happening because of
mm,
them. Um, and I think
yeah,
there's so many cases in sport, where you look back at, like, especially in football, where um, they've had leg breaks over something like of just doing a sprint down the wing, and there's been no contact and there's no trauma, but their leg
wow,
snapped, and you're like, well, what's caused that? There must have
mm,
been some underlying bone stress, bone injury, without
yeah,
them having any symptoms before. So
yeah.
it is a big risk,
It's the thing,
and
definitely.
I go and play football with my mates, and I know one mate in particular will just try and kick me the whole time, because that's where, we're best mates, and he's always trying to do that. I'm like, well, like, if I showed up now and he just went to kick me, is my leg just gonna snap? You know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um.
Testing
So.
your friendship there, isn't it? I mean, how long
Oh
are you
yeah.
gonna throw some fists or something? Like, get away from me. Yeah. That is wild, isn't it? Yeah.
But
That's
that's what I
a
was talking about earlier as well. It's a bit of an invisible injury to everyone
it is
else.
hard.
You know.
Yeah. And then they
Um.
see you in the gym lifting well and jogging and
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
otherwise well.
Jumping
It
around.
is. I've, like, time and again, I always try and explain to patients who've got like bad ankle sprains or stress fractures, I'd rather just trip up and have a nice, clean,
Yeah.
thin fracture that sits in a cast for 6 weeks and it's done. There's no complications. It's nice, and no one wants to be injured. But these sorts of things where it's so grey, it ends up being difficult for everyone. But
Yeah.
this is where the sort of insight, and it is definitely something that I hope people who listen to this kind of can feed off it, and especially clinicians kind of working around it, increasing their awareness of these symptoms, and that gut instinct you have, where you were pretty sure there wasn't quite something right, but you worked through it. But no, that's been such a good insight. Again, as I said, I didn't realize how long this thing was still going, and you'll have to feed back and give
Mhm.
me a shout, how those
Yeah.
images go. Um,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. I think the
yeah,
other side of all of it as well, I should have mentioned, but the kind of foot intrinsic role as well, um,
hmm
which has been a big part of rehab too, which I probably neglected through training. Your tiny foot muscles, and working on your, like what we were saying earlier, with if you've got that pronation and you are flat footed, what are you doing there to try and get that a bit stronger, or work on those intrinsic, or if you, even if it's just single leg balance, um, like everyone's doing calf raises, everyone's doing soleus raises, but
mm
what else are you doing around that ankle and foot to try and get that a
mm,
bit stronger? And yeah, I've learned quite a bit there, after speaking to the SCM consultants at the QE in Birmingham and stuff. They're like, right, really hone in on that and speak to a
work
foot
into that.
specialist physio who can help with that. And they were looking at
Mm,
the way I do calf raises, and actually I do a calf raise, I come up and I go right out into
yeah.
um, supination when I do that. So
Mm,
I'm not putting any pressure through the ball of my foot. And they were just like, right, just start doing calf raises through the ball of your foot, and that's going to target different muscles. And
yeah.
if there's weakness
Yeah.
there, I'm like, right. Yeah, there's another piece of the puzzle, as we were saying earlier. It's like how much impact does that have? Well, it comes down to all the tiny things, doesn't it? At the end, if there's
I
one
think
thing
so.
potentially that's not quite right, then you've got to try and
Yeah,
just
and
work on all of those weaknesses.
I think that's you've been able to look at that in a way just because your bloods and your the stuff that came back you would expect to be all over the shop were level.
Yeah,
Your food, your intake was great. Your training was great. It's. I often find with the military stuff, especially youngsters, that don't if they walk in and their barn door kind of really pes cavus and they're really really flat, then fine, chuck them in soles, potentially send them for podiatry. But so often in that environment anyway, it's load. You know, the biggest issue, the problem is load, and they just spike, and therefore that's the main thing. Some vitamin D, and they get supplements, and that works up. But you know, to
yeah,
be fair, that that foot biomechanics and rectifying that will over time, yeah, definitely be a part. And I think that's probably something I'll take away. Just trying to get into that a little bit more. A few years ago, I worked with a guy called Phil Jeffs, who is a really really good physio. In a really good way, he was a super nerd. He had like a folder of current reading he always had with him, and he was doing all sorts of cool stuff. And he picked up a couple of deep foot, stiff foot drills that he'd picked up from elite football. So he was in elite football at the time, or came from that. But that stuff where you get the arch open, activating the
yeah,
arch, knee to wall, then stiff hitting the drills, stiff ankle drills, and feeding that in from day one. Um, that has been something I've jumped on a few times when patients are low on their arch. But as you
mm,
said, there's so many muscles in the foot that you don't really think about the actual foot as a joint that
yeah.
you train like that. Definitely.
And
Um,
I always come back to I think about everyone's got different foot mechanics, and you
mm,
know they're not always no one's got the perfect foot, and the way someone's foot moves is specific to them, and then is
mm,
that just part of who that person is? Is that causing an injury, or is changing that actually helping? I always question that when I'm treating people and
mm,
I'm treating athletes. It's like I don't want to try and change too much here because this is who you are,
yeah,
um, and who
absolutely.
you are may not be causing the issues like you've just said. It's the load that's going through and how that's being managed.
Often it is. I think it almost feels like, again, I haven't been working with too long, 9 years now, but there's almost like a trend where 5, 10 years ago, everyone was obsessed with reducing any pronation you see. Any pronation is right. Just
Yeah,
plug it, put a post in, make sure it's rectified. I think it's gone a little bit the other way, not in a bad way, but now I would also, no, I would the foot index and you checking now. I used to do that quite a lot, and now I don't do that much unless someone's navicular is literally on the floor,
mm,
you know,
yeah, yeah,
or I can't even get one finger underneath. I might suggest it, but as I said, I don't delve. I used to. I don't delve into it terribly, but it's only when someone walks in and they really are low. Because as you
mm,
said, some people, some of those elite athletes, we've all seen. If you're a physio and you've looked at running injuries, you'll see the slow mos of the elite runners where they literally have
yeah,
naviculars scuffing the floor and they're running world record runs, and
yeah.
you just think, you know,
No
uh,
symptoms.
do,
Yeah,
no symptoms, and they seem to get the timing. Um, but no, I think that the bone loading stuff is really interesting when you get into it to a degree, and then you can get too nerdy. But that the fact that the bone is so adaptive, it's so sensitive to mechanical load, it needs that rest, which is just as important as the load itself. And then, so the paper that I sent was part of that thing I sent you was a guy called Romani, and the paper was 2002. So it's a not a macro, not a micro, it's a mesocycle loading. It's 3 week blocks, and you do some load impact to the bone for two weeks or so, and then you have your third week where you do absolutely nothing.
oh yeah,
You
yeah,
might do some strength, you might do some cycling, but that third week consolidates all of that rest. It just lets the bone settle in, reload osteoblasts and all the lining and all the bone building back up, and then you increase the intensity in the second block of three.
mm,
So you make it
yeah,
much harder, you do a bit more, and then you stack 3 week blocks on top of each other until they kind of have reached their symptom free, full strength, full range, and they can do the running. Um,
yeah,
I think that I like that bit just because there's structure. You know, so often you do see running build up programs after stress fractures are quite generic. You just pick a have you done a few days of pain free walking? Cool. Can you do a
yeah,
few calf raises, and then you just do a walk run,
yeah,
and
yeah.
actually
Couch to
having a bit
5K.
Couch to 5K, which is also really good program for people. But that 8 hours
It's
rest is the one which gives
non-specific though,
us.
isn't it? Yeah.
It kind of is, and then you don't have the ability to adapt or pick and choose whether they're an elite runner and they can do 4 hours rest, not 8, and they can actually start doing 120 hops a day, twice a day, rather than just doing the tramp hit 60s or something. So, I just thought that was something that, is a bit more structure. Again, there'll be more stuff coming out over the years. I'm sure that either
Yeah,
consolidates it or poo-poos it.
there's not enough on it, is there? That's I think the key thing. You did a really good job of pulling evidence together and creating something which is useful and can be used, particularly in military
Mm,
environment where we see a lot of it. But yeah, we need more work around it, don't we?
I think
Um,
so.
and
Yeah.
I think there's the split there as well between there's bone stress injuries and then there's bone stress injuries which are already fractured, which is the
Yep.
side I found myself in. So
Mm,
actually, when it came back to that impact work, I was a bit like, I can't actually follow this anymore because I'm still in the high risk area because
yep.
I don't know if mine's healed yet. I don't know what's going on there. So if it's
It's been
just the
hard
bone
for you.
stress,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, there's a lot of guessing going on. Um, but we've said it a lot. It's like, how can you guess when you don't have your symptoms? So yeah, I think
Mentally, it's hard on you,
uh,
man. Yeah.
yeah, and another side of it also is because I've been into the NHS with it. Like when I had that CT scan, I didn't get the results for 2 months, so I'm also
Mm,
waiting to see if I've still got a fracture in my leg, but also still trying to rehab myself. And
yeah. Yeah.
I don't know where that limit is. I've just got to kind of try and use my expertise as physio and also my symptoms that I'm getting and just keep myself in this middle ground where I'm not doing too little and I'm not also not doing too much. And
Yeah. You don't know where
that's
the baseline is. So
no,
no, man,
it's been a
no, it's been
challenge.
been tricky. But look, I think it's been awesome having you on. I've definitely kind of learned some stuff, and it's good that we've got this sort of. Thank you for being kind of open about it because it is tricky, has been hard, and I know you might still have to wait a bit even after the author opinion. But
Yeah,
hopefully they rescan you soon, and you can get a better outcome. And we might have you on for like a 2-minute call or something in the future just to catch up and see where's Barney, what's his shin going, and how he's at, where
yeah.
he's at. So.
It's snapped, and I've had it chopped off.
that we won't have you on then. That's well, we're not like for yourself. It might be a bit too much to talk about that, but no.
I'll be on
Hopefully it doesn't
for
do that.
what's it called, phantom limb pain instead.
Yeah. We'll have a specialist on with that as well.
Yeah,
Nah. Well, thanks, mate. I think we'll look, but the timing on the recording is going to run out in a minute or two, so
no
we'll wrap it
problem.
up there. But thanks. Have you any more thoughts or comments before we finish up?
No, I think we've only got a bit of time, but it's that I think if you look at the research at the moment, it's post 2020, there's a lot more bone stress injuries going on, and it's
Mm,
what's the cause of that? There's that paper I sent you, which believe it's
yeah.
um,
Yeah.
people having to go from not training at all during COVID to then it's increasing massively. Um,
Yeah.
I think the popularity of endurance sports has gone through the roof. Social media's had a massive part to play in
Definitely.
that, and
Definitely.
whether people aren't, trained enough to actually put in the load
Yeah.
through their bodies that they are. I mean, you've got to consider that, and then access to MRI imaging is more readily available now. So these
Mm,
injuries might have been there all the time, or historically, but now we're actually getting to the point where we're imaging a lot more, so a lot more are being picked
mm,
up, and it's also a good point there. People would have had these pains, not had much symptoms, and just
mm.
cracked on. They
Yeah.
might not have been imaged, and they just carried on living the way they were, and have been
And this
absolutely
is
fine. So
highlighting that for us, which is really good.
yeah,
No,
yeah,
definitely, and definitely, as you said, like post COVID, and then the surge of endurance stuff could be a nice topic to talk about later on.
yeah,
Yeah, we'll look around that actually and do a bit of
and
research. But yeah,
yeah.
sweet.
All right.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
We got like to say
Pleasure.
another 60 seconds, but I'll let you get on for the day. Thanks for making the time for us, mate. And
All right.
yeah,
You have a good day.
let us know how things go. Eh? You too. Speak soon.
Cheers. Speak soon.